If you have been curious about the world of home brewing, if you want to learn a lot of fun facts that I bet you did not know before, or if you wanted to learn some of the joys and challenges that come with working in your hobby, this conversation's for you. Welcome to another business podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah, once again joined by my co-host, John Maxwell.
Happy days, everybody.
Welcome. So good to see you.
Good to be
And
here.
our guest today, I'm so excited for this conversation, Andy Denton. Hello. Good to see you again.
How are you? Hope I can live up to the expectations.
Listen, no pressure. I'm not worried. It's going to be good.
Right on.
Why don't you give us a 30-second elevator pitch, who you are, what you do?
Okay. My name is Andy Denton.
Hello.
I am the owner of Perfect Brewing Supply in Libertyville, 619 East Park Avenue in Libertyville. Perfect Brewing Supply has been around approximately 18 years. I've owned it for going on 11 years now. We are a homebrew shop that primarily focuses on home fermentation, whether it be beer, wine, cider, soda, cheese, bread. Basically, it's got little beasties and gets funky.
Yeah.
We probably have something to do with it. And we also do a lot of draft stuff. So if you wanted to put a kegerator at your house or your restaurant or whatnot. So we do a lot of problem solving with that. That's kind of one of the things that people don't necessarily associate us with.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of the refrigeration and things like that.
Yeah.
My background's I have a degree in environmental science, which is kind of remotely related to.
Yeah, they kind
Kinda.
of touch.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I was in the outdoor industry for about 15 years before I decided to go into this hobby and make it a living.
Yeah.
But yeah, Perfect Brewing has been fun. It's a pretty fun culture. There's only about 500 shops like us in the country.
Yeah.
So it's very unique. So when we have to explain it, sometimes it's very challenging to exactly say, hey, this is what we do. Because it's not something it's not like, hey, I'm a Macy's.
Right. Well, I remember when you first explained it to me, I don't think I fully understood it until I visited the shop. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's dope.
It's really unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of shiny hardware, a lot of ingredients that you're not going to see anywhere else to make a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, do you have a retail storefront? Can
We do.
People can just walk in and see all this stuff?
Yeah. And 80% of our business is in-person retail versus online. So we're one of those weird anomalies that we are mostly in person because there's a lot of questions. We're sometimes maybe just professional problem solvers because everyone wants to do something or has a problem and things like that. But yeah, you can walk into the store. We're open 7 days a week. Monday through Thursday, 11 to 5. Fridays we're open till 7. Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 5 and 11 to 4.
I mean, how many people can say they have a local homebrew guru, you know?
Well, yeah, not many now that the industry shifted, but yeah, it's kind of fun. We get a lot of questions from a lot of different places. So
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I first met you almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Not quite. It was last summer. And it stood out to me because you kind of stroked my ego a little bit. I don't know if you remember it, but so you were doing you were sponsoring an event, and so you had a tasting section, and I want to say it was a wine that I tried.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't remember if I asked you or you asked me, but I inquired about like the tasting notes.
Yeah.
And like, what should I be tasting in this? And because I've done coffee things, so they're kind of related. And you hit me back with, well, what are you tasting?
Yeah.
And I've done coffee tasting in this. And I was like, dang it, I don't want to have to answer that question because now I'm going to get it wrong. And then I threw out a couple things and you were like, you hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
And that made me feel really good.
Nice.
So
we try. And it's one of the things that we always, since we do quite a bit of wine as well over the years and throughout the year, is that tends to come up more often is so many people tell you what you should be tasting.
Yeah.
But your taste buds will really tell you what it is. And so we always try to ask that question, hey, what do you taste? Because as soon as I say the word garlic or almond, you're going to think it and you're going to taste it.
Yeah.
So one of the things we do with a lot of our tasting events or even our judging, because a lot of us at the shop are BJCP, Beer Judge Certification Program. It's kind of like the beer sommelier to where we can pick out different flavors from different fermentation or different processes. But yeah, as soon as you say a flavor. So that's why we always do that way. But yeah, and you did nail it. It was at one of your former guests. He had an event, and so we were out there sampling
Matt
our wares.
McClure, episode 1.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I didn't think about this until thinking back on it, but I kind of got a full sense of what you want to do for your clients in our first interaction, right? Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but my sense is that your whole thing has been empowering people to brew things for themselves and to think for themselves and to take ownership of this thing that they have maybe never made a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that we will strive to do. We just started creating the tagline, "Why buy it when you can make it?" And this is a little bit of a soapbox.
Yeah.
But so many people or so many industries are now doing so many things for us that we haven't taken the time to really know exactly what goes into it. Especially now that everyone's worried about what goes into your food, what doesn't go into your food. If you take the time to make it yourself, and it doesn't take that much longer once you get through the learning curve.
Yeah.
Like with wine, we know that exactly how many sulfites in it, if any. You have the option to put it in or not put it in.
Yeah.
With beer, it's very limited on what chemicals go into it or what other things go into it. Where some of the macro breweries, there's all kinds of weird things that they don't have to list that go into the beer. And same with the sourdough. If you put something on the counter, I learned this on one of those a podcast or something somewhere. If you take two pieces of food like a Twinkie and something like a potato, one's gonna rot, one's not. One's food, one's not. But you can control what goes into that food as you make it yourself. So we do like to empower people. We like to let people know, hey, this is a DIY dream that you can make your own wine. You can make your own beer. Hey, you can even make your own cheese.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting because I can imagine that people get drawn to it for their own reasons. And there may be, in the course of doing this for so long, you may have noticed a few different types of people that are there for their own reasons. Talk about what you notice in terms of the types of people that are drawn to home brewing.
Oh, okay. So, and I'm going to loop in the winemaking as well because there's some really good examples there.
Great.
Because there's definitely a different customer between the wine and the beer.
Yeah.
And in the wine, we bring in 25,000 pounds of grapes in from California, so it's become a big thing. When I started there, we started with 8 boxes.
Is that like per year?
That's just in the fall.
Jeez.
And then in the spring, it's a little bit smaller. We do juice buckets from Chile.
Yeah.
But the wine customer is far different than the beer customer. And I can drill down even further, but the wine customer is generally they're making their family wine for the year. I've been told I'm doing it wrong in a lot of different languages. And so, because everyone has a certain way, the number one answer of any question in this industry is it depends. Because there's always a variable of some sort.
Yeah.
And so it's very different in that aspect. And with the wine is definitely a culture. And I absolutely love it because you hear the stories of what goes into the wine. They bring that in, and it's their family tradition. We made this the way my grandfather did in the old world, and it's really, I think it's the best part of the whole season. In the beer world, people are making it because in the beginning, when home brewing was really booming, mid to late 90s, is because there weren't as many craft beer options. So they were making things that they wanted to drink because it wasn't readily available on the shelves.
Yeah.
And then with the boom of craft beer, home brewing kind of took a dip, but the people that really enjoyed the culture and the camaraderie, because it's literally you light a burner out in your driveway, it's like moths to a flame. There's going to be people coming out, and next thing you know, you have a homebrew club that started that we host, which I'm wearing the sweatshirt.
Yeah.
That it becomes a thing to where it's so much of I'll say a bro community to where
Yeah.
it's very, very social. And that's one of the things we've been struggling with the times we're in and the times we came from, is when you couldn't be as social. We noticed some things. And so this is a great activity for anyone to get out. I probably digress from your question, so I apologize.
No,
Do I
you're
need to
doing
rope
great.
myself
You're doing
back
great.
in? I tend to happen with me. I just start.
Well, it's because you're so freaking passionate.
I am. Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, so when I had better work-life boundaries, I developed this habit on Sundays. It would be a day off, and I would just think about some sort of food that I wanted to make that I've never made before. And I was like, I'm going to look up how to do it. And so I'd find a recipe and I'd be like, okay, I need to go get all of these ingredients. And I'd go to the store and get all the ingredients. And I remember one day I thought, I just want to learn how to make an old fashioned.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to make my own simple syrup. It's very easy. It's simple. But I learned how to do that instead of just buying the syrup. And I created my own orange garnishes by putting them in the oven for 6 hours.
Nice.
And by the end of, 8 hours,
Yeah.
I had myself an old fashioned. But that old fashioned tasted so good because I curated it.
Yeah. You knew exactly what went into it.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what it takes. And you learned a skill along the way. You appreciated what went into that. So we love that. I mean, we love providing for that culture of, hey, let's do this ourselves. Some people will do it because they want to know what's in it, as I said before. There's some people that do it because this is just really fun.
Yeah.
And some people just really want to learn more about it because with the beer side of it, there's so much history. I guess wine has a lot of history too, but with the beer side of it, there's, as I stated earlier, there's the BJCP, the Beer Judge Certification Program, to where they will kind of the holders of the beer styles. There's a couple hundred different beer styles out there, and you only see like 6 of them at the store.
Yeah.
But each one of those styles, there's a category, a subcategory, will have a little bit of a story or history behind it. Like Kolsch is really known from Cologne because of the water, the specific type of water. The English bitters are the way they are because of the water and how they're brewed and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of that worldwide culture and history that goes along with the brewing world. I think the 2 oldest beverages and the mead makers, and mead is honey and water that's fermented like a honey wine.
Yeah.
And beer dated back 10,000 years. And between the 2 of those, somebody's going to debate which is older, which is not.
Yeah.
So these things have been fermented. Beverages have been around for a very long time.
So interesting. Many years ago when I was in Germany, I had some of the Weiss beer in Germany, and I had an uneducated palate. I'll just say it right. And I said, this tastes completely different than what I'm getting off the shelf at the local convenience store in the United States. Talk about a little bit about the culture of beer making in Europe versus here, or has it really crossed the ocean?
It's crossed the ocean, but this is something we can talk to both the wine and the beer at the same time. The New World is what we'll say. United States and North South America. Yeah. We have far fewer rules that we have to abide to. So we're kind of like the Wild West, in wine, it's you can only put so many things in. You really don't. It's a little more natural. It's more terroir focused. In the beer, there's we could hint or talk about the Reinheitsgebot, the German purity laws in I think 1518. Don't quote me on that. It's around there a couple of years, where the only thing you could put in beer was grain, water, and hops. That's before they knew what yeast was. They had to redo that later. And because they didn't want to put wheat in beer because you were taking away from making bread during that time, wheat was very valuable. So the Germans came out with the Reinheitsgebot, German purity laws. So the differences in culture, like the Europeans aren't going to throw 4 tons of hops in an IPA and expect people to drink it. It's very set in the traditional ways. I have a friend of mine who owns a brewery in Budapest, and it's a very different culture over there. The tap room is dead. No one goes to tap rooms and hangs out. It's all distribution and doing it that way, at least in that part of that climate there. Yeah. To where they were trying to bring the tap room culture to where they could do it, but it really hasn't taken off yet. We're in the United States, it's all about the bro community. Let's go to the tap room. Let's hang out, which is, I think, fantastic because that's where you really get to learn who's making your product, who's making your beer, because the tap room has a big identity into who's doing it. So I don't know if that again, I digress.
No, you did great. The point I'm wondering about as you're talking about this, it seems like the we'll call it the Western culture of beer making is more experimental and creative.
Yes.
Have you noticed that any of that experimentation and creativity, has it spawned really new legs and brand new kind of flavors or varieties of beer that have really taken off commercially?
Well, there's the IPA. that one, the West Coast IPA, the hazy IPA from the East Coast was a big one. That it drove me crazy for a while. Still kind of does because I like clear beer. But it was a big style that took off. That started because people wanted juicier, less bitter things to drink, and that was the answer. That's what came from that. Any of those what we used to call the candy bar stouts, where you take a really sweet, big, strong stout and put some sort of fruit candy bar. Not my thing.
Right.
It lasted a while, but that was a style that people were experimenting with because the new world will say really wanted to experiment. How far can we push it, or what can we do? It's always like, well, it's like what the hot pepper world. How hot of a pepper can we build? Or construct and eat it? And it
becomes kind of novelty.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I don't want to say that's where the beer industry ended up, or is or can be, or will be, whichever. It's as long as you have someone that goes, I wonder what that's like. You're always going to have something, and it might catch on. But we always tell people, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So anyway, the culture.
I once heard somebody that had created, and you can buy this somewhere. I don't know where. Garlic ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. I don't think I'd love that.
Yeah, there's crazy things.
I tried though. Yeah, because be like, I mean, well, we ferment garlic and honey, which is fun too. Which is if you ever get a cold, you pop one of those things in, and you're gone.
Nice.
That's a staple.
So, which came first, your expertise and passion for this and knowledge, or you owning the shop?
So I was a home brewer before I owned the shop. I was actually a customer of Perfect before, and even before then, my father-in-law got me my first kit.
Okay.
It sat on my shelf for probably a year or two before I brewed it.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But it was once you get started, because a lot of people get kits for the holidays.
Yeah.
And the hardest part is just getting started. But I also had a cousin that was a pro brewer in the early 90s that was big into craft beer that kind of introduced me to that whole idea of that it's not just yellow and fizzy.
Yeah.
There's other things out there. If my mom's not listening, I might not have been 21, but that's a different day, different story. But it's, so in having a science background, that really kind of it appealed to me because it's food science. We can talk about a lot about the flavors and this and that, but what we really get excited about, where you can always tell a home brewer sitting at the bar stool at your local brewery, is when they start really spouting off things that make no sense. Because we're going to talk about.
You already did it once or twice. If I'm being honest.
I have had to learn to just. Okay, we're going to talk about esters. We're going to talk phenols. When you ferment this particular thing at this certain temperature, you're going to get this. You're going to get that. It's going to produce glycerin. It's going to produce this. So there's whole things you can really nerd out about, which we absolutely love to do.
Yeah.
But we try to do it in our small little circles because we can lose a lot of people. My wife's eyes just glaze over.
Wait,
so,
is there like a language of the subculture?
It kind of is, and it's really all about all we care about is what those little single-celled eukaryotic organisms do. Those little yeasties, they're little fungus, and how you take care of those fungus or fungi is really what determines what that beer may or may not taste like, and then everything else kind of is just an afterthought, kind of. But yeah, so we can. We're pocket secret microbiologists with the drinking problem.
Nice.
Maybe not a problem. That's our experiment. We go, this little yeast did this, and he did a really good job. Or, I should have treated him better. Maybe I should think about sanitation. But anyway. Yeah.
So how did your move from it being a hobby to you're owning a shop and now it's a business?
Yeah.
How did that change your experience of it?
So, a lot of different ways. So as a hobbyist, as before, I brewed a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it was a hobby and I didn't have to run a business with it. But the great thing is once you go into that realm full time and having so many different things around, like ingredients or options to do things, is your knowledge becomes more rounded because you have different things available to you at all the time that you're like, I wonder what this does. Or you learn about this, you learn about that. So that's kind of where it changed a lot. And then the other thing that I guess I should bring up is there's been so many people that have worked there, taken a class at a homebrew shop, whether it be Perfect Brewing Supply or someplace else, that are now brewing professionally or did brew professionally or in the industry still. And we're going to be working on a family tree relatively soon.
That's cool.
Yeah, with the former manager that's brewing over at Tighthead.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for years just to do it because he predates me as running the shop. I think I've owned it longer than anyone else has to this date.
Yeah. Well, I was going to mention, you kind of nodded to it. The shop has some accolades going for it. Like, talk about some of those things.
I
Brag on yourself a little.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what accolades we made. So I guess the most recent one is we got a Community Impact Award from Libertyville, which was fantastic. Accolades that way. We've had a lot of people that have, as I said, either brewed professionally. That's probably one of my biggest accolades, is seeing someone start there, expand their knowledge, and go, boom, I'm going to make a living out of this and do really, really well.
Yeah.
We have one gentleman that's starting another brewery in another town close to here, maybe Mundelein, maybe not, maybe Mundelein. And then we knew the guys that started the one that before.
Yeah.
Billy, the former manager of Perfect, was one of the founders or head brewer at Tighthead. We know some of the guys out at Roaring Table. We know some of the guys at Phase 3. We know some of the people at Buffalo Creek. I can name everybody. Josh from Black Lung took his first class with us. So we're kind of, and it's not just because it's us, it's because we were that epicenter for that idea to kind of blossom. So that homebrew shop, sometimes I'll call it like the modern day barbershop. And this is kind of one of those accolades. So I'm terrible about talking about myself. But one of the accolades is people just come in and hang out and talk. They'll bring us a beer and go, what's wrong? And so we'll sit and talk about it. And that's one of the things that really builds up this, I guess, this accolade of where this mindset goes, to where people really want to make a big jump and make a living out of this. And that's probably one of our biggest personal accolades, is seeing people blossom into the potential that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, we've won some brewing awards over the years, whether it be homebrew awards. I'm trying to think of what other.
I mean, that's already,
Yeah.
that's quite a rap sheet. That's awesome.
I'm fascinated by the idea of becoming a registered beer judge. I mean, the homework's got to be incredible.
It's it's a lot of work because, and so it's a written test.
Okay.
It's a you got to judge beers, and you got to do the written test. You have to do the tasting test, and it's quite a bit of homework because you have to basically go, okay, someone hands you a pale ale, and you're, as a judge, you have to know all the attributes of a pale ale as you taste it, to go, is this a pale ale first and foremost, and then what's wrong with it? Was the yeast stress? Is there diacetyl? Is there I'm drawing a blank on some of the other things. Is there this? Is there that? Is the foam retention the way it should be? Because then you have a protein issue. Then it's a mass issue. So so you can dissect it just by looking at a glass and smelling it and going that way. Acetaldehyde is one of the things. DMS, dimethyl sulfide, and being able to identify those characteristics can tell you a lot about the process or how it's handled.
Yeah.
And that's what people are looking for, is go, okay, what did I do? How can I make it better? And that's one of the great things about being a BJCP judge. And we have off flavors kits that we will literally sit around and taste terrible things so we can train our tongue and our brain to go, that's what that is. This is that flavor. And now we can go, okay, if you have this flavor, where did it come from, and how do you fix it?
Oh, so we get to play Stump the Beer Judge.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. It's a fun one, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh man, I was going to ask a question. Come back to me.
Okay. So the beer judge, there's different levels. And basically you go through the different levels based on how many competitions you judge, whether you administer the judge or the competition or not. We do one in conjunction with the Mundelein Craft Beer Festival. And then we do the People's Choice Award. That's in June. Yes.
Coming up.
June 6th. Yes.
Let's go.
So yeah, that's a big one. That's a great festival to go to. Because we have, I think last year we had 18 or 19 different homebrewers there pouring their wonderful goodness.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine if somebody's listening to this who is not a home brewer, which I'm assuming is probably a lot of people.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
So my question is, there's definitely a deep resource for people to continue to learn more and more and more. But is there also is the barrier to entry like that high, or is there something to be said for this is fascinating and I think I might enjoy it, but all of that's overwhelming?
So anything new is always going to be somewhat overwhelming, and then from my viewpoint, I've done it so much that it seems very simple. So there's a happy medium in there. But one thing that we always say that I said earlier is that if you can boil water, you can make beer. You can make this hobby as simple or as complicated as you want it.
Okay.
And there's a support group, the Homebrew Club, where you call the shop. As I said, we do a lot of tech support over the phone. We do a lot of just maybe a little bit of counseling for people to just calm down. Everything's fine. The godfather of homebrewing, Charlie Papazian, who wrote the first Joy of Homebrewing book, also has his original wooden spoon in the Smithsonian. His favorite tagline was "Relax, have a homebrew." The worst, and then what I would follow up with is the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to make beer. That is the worst thing that's going to happen. So sometimes this hobby is really good or really stressful for type A's.
Yeah.
Because it depends. There's no exact answer to any question.
Yeah.
And so
it's great for the philosophers.
Absolutely. It's like, yeah, I think it's good. Yeah. And one of the things that is also interesting along those lines as far as getting started is you could, when you start really getting comfortable and confident or cocky, we have people that will use their sourdough starters to ferment their beer with.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's, I think, just absolutely exciting because you have this culture of this blob of starter. You toss it in and let it rip.
Yeah.
You really don't know what you're going to get.
This is real mad scientist
It
stuff.
really is. It can be. It can be. And there's whole books written about that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I feel like the overlap with your degree is more than a touch. I feel like they do.
Yeah, it does help a little bit with that. But no, to get into the hobby or the lifestyle as you really fall into it is for a basic starter kit and something to brew, which is 5 gallons. This is the sales pitch. Usually when I do my classes, I raise my hand when I'm going to tell you something you can buy.
Yeah.
Is about $200, $225 to make 5 gallons of beer.
Okay.
Your recipe kits are about $50-$60 roughly. It depends on what you put in it.
Yeah.
And then we do offer free classes every month.
Yeah.
Second and fourth Saturdays of the month, we have free classes. So we are just your support system for if you want to come out and try it. We can help you with that.
I love that.
Because it really is a fun hobby, a great culture, and it's easy to get into. And you can make everywhere from 1 gallon to 100 gallons at a time based on how complicated you want to make it. There's really simple ways to do it, and then there's really complicated ways to do it.
I'm intrigued by the culture.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the culture because I can imagine, I can hear the passion that you have for what you do, but I can also hear the passion for these homebrewers that are calling you without, you know, desperate to figure this thing out. When you get a bunch of homebrewers in a room, what's that like?
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what? We need to take a quick break.
Okay.
I want you to answer that.
Yes.
After the break, and then I want to get into some more of the more business logistics of what you do too. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I can hear your passion, and I can hear you telling the stories about all these people that are passionate, emotional about brewing beer, and they want to get better and all these questions. What's it like when you get a big group of home brewers all in one room?
A lot of words, a lot of big words of people talking about their beer. It is a lot of passion. I'm trying to think of a way that we could correlate that to something. But while my back half of the brain is thinking, if you really want to figure or see for yourself, we have our congressionally recognized National Homebrew Day on May 2nd. It's always the first Saturday in May. At noon, there's a worldwide toast. So that's collectively a bunch of homebrewers showing up at the shop, brewing in our back parking lot. and just making beer, talking beer, hanging out. It's very tailgatey type scenario. That's a great way if you want to experience the culture for yourselves. There's a variety of homebrew clubs within the Chicago area. That's also a great place to really, if you want to get into the culture, it's a great way to go. I know there's one in Crystal Lake. There's one in Palatine. There's one that meets at our shop. I think the Midnight Carboys, Nubs, North Urban Brewing Society is the one that we're partial to. And then you have Club Wirt, which is out of Palatine.
Yeah.
All of them are great, huge groups.
You know what's fascinating? I haven't gotten super into beer yet.
Yeah.
But everything you're talking about like the culture around it, that gets me so jazzed up.
Yeah.
So it's like, shoot, am I going to start homebrewing beer now?
Yeah. It's everyone starts and they tell their significant others, I'm doing this because it's cheaper. But you end up, that's not the case. Really, once you get in with the passion behind it and how much fun it is to make something that I'm going to share this with other people and they like it.
Yeah.
That's really motivating. That's really exhilarating to say, and then have someone say, yeah, I'd buy that. And that's kind of what started that whole craft beer boom, is like these homebrewers are making these awesome homebrews.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, I'd buy that. You should go into business. You should do that. You should, yeah.
That's cool. I did want to talk more about the logistics of running a business, a bit more about why you chose to do what you do, because running a business is, in any industry, it's like 20% doing the thing, 80% running the business.
Yep, that is the thing. I mean, we could say we're selling widgets, and a lot of the struggles are going to be the same, no matter what kind of widget you're selling, whether it be homebrew, paper clips, whatever.
Yeah.
The business is still kind of the same, and that was really challenging to really understand that completely, to look at the business in a completely different way, even though we have a great passion for it. There's a lot of things we would like to do, but we know that's probably not the best use of resources at this time because there's things we have to do and we have to make business decisions.
Yeah.
But you've got a very interesting business. How do you promote it? How do you attract people to the shop?
Okay. I was very fortunate that the shop was existing before I took over. Mm-hmm. So that was huge. And that Perfect was one of the originals. And so it's been around for, it's one of the longest. I don't want to say in the country. I don't know that information. Actually, I know that's not true. There was a great culture before me. For us, what we do currently or historically under my, leadership is we would go to festivals. We would do events through some of our local parks and recs departments. We do classes that way. We even do kids root beer classes. We do.
That's fun.
We work with the adult special needs segment of the world, where they'll come in and we'll do a root beer or bread class and things like that.
Yeah.
We have a newsletter that's probably our biggest publication that gets out unless people know what's going on. But it's very grassroots, guerrilla warfare. I guess that's not the best word to use, but it's very guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
But it is word of mouth because it's hard to, no matter, we could advertise. People aren't going to start homebrewing because we advertise more. They have to want to do it. And so we try to provide the reason or the appeal of why to do it.
Well, I mean, I guess with having your client base, your customers there be such a strong culture around it. It sounds like the people that know who you are going to kind of be evangelists for the whole thing, and then you by proxy.
Yeah, it definitely helps that way, especially now that we're definitely one of the last ones in Lake County. I think we are the last homebrew shop in Lake County. There's only about 500 shops like me in the country.
Yeah.
And so we're pretty unique in that aspect, to where, even in the Chicago market, off the top of my head, I can think of 4 or 5 in the Chicago market.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big city to fill that void. Word of mouth is definitely one of our big things.
As I'm listening to you and I hear home brewing is really about, there's a lot of passion here, right? What I'm envisioning is that when people come into an event and other people have passion, curious people, strangers coming into the event can begin to feel that energy, and they get inducted into the cult that way.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my most recent hires, which was 2 years ago, I hired a kid that didn't brew, but his energy was so fantastic that he was like, that's the guy. We need him in here. And now he's running the shop. But yeah, the energy is great. And when we go to beer festivals, when we're pouring as homebrewers, you'll notice that depending on the festival, but a lot of them, the homebrewers tend to have the people lingering in front of their booths the most often, because they're going to be the ones that are going to tell you everything that went into that beer with a very passionate story of why they did it.
Yeah.
Versus this just sells us a bunch of beer and I get a paycheck. No, it's not that way with all breweries. But with the home brewers, you actually get a real story behind that. And if you go into branding, stories are everything.
Yeah.
You have a story behind a product, and people like that. I like that. And it's really great to go, I once put this dill pickle juice in my beer and it was great. And why did you do that? Well, here's the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that really motivates people to want to try to do stuff like that, because you're going to make mistakes. But as I said before, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to make beer. So,
yeah. What is one of the greatest challenges of this industry in a professional business context?
That's a great question, because because we are so few as far as shops, that also reflects that they're, compared to other hobbies like I can't think of any other hobbies right now, car collecting or things like that.
Yeah.
There aren't as many people doing it as there used to be. And so people many times will think, oh, this is hard, as we talked about, or I don't want to get into that, or I only like this, or I only like that. Why would I want to make it when I can buy it? And what are the exact, why buy it when you can make it? Many of the struggles we have is just the average home brewer, new home brewer, generally will see them 3 times.
Okay.
They'll buy their stuff, they'll buy a kit, they'll buy another kit, and then that's it. So the burnout, I guess, is fairly quick. And so because brewing is 80% janitorial.
Okay.
And 20%.
Say more about that.
Yeah.
Say more about that.
Sanitation and cleanliness is everything for consistent products. And so
okay. Yeah.
Whenever when I was home brewing before I owned a shop, our kitchen, my wife loved it, would be absolutely spotless. You could eat off the floor because we would overcompensate and we would sanitize everything. And
so what you're saying is to all the married people out there, if you're feeling like the kitchen's always a mess, you should try to get your partner into homebrewing.
Yes. But then there's a time where you hit that plateau. You're like, oh, it doesn't matter that much at certain times. So I digress.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. Whatever you put in that beer, that's going to ferment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
or it could create an off flavor or something like that, which we talked about, all those off flavors.
Yeah.
So you want to be as consistent as possible and be able to control as much as you can that goes into that, unless you choose to do wild fermentation, like throw a bunch of sourdough starter in, or just leave the top off and see what happens.
Yeah.
But so some of the challenges were it's a lot of janitorial work, and so average home brewer that starts is about 3 times, and so that's why it's great that we have a club. So I call it the support group. You start brewing, you should come out and talk to these guys.
Yeah.
They will help you along the way. They will also give you a reason if you start making bad beer. That's a great way to get rid of beer is bring it to a home brew club meeting, just put it on the table and walk away.
Yeah.
And it just disappears. I'm just kidding. All the home brewers are going to be like, you're a jerk. But that helps with the culture of getting people to do it more.
Yeah. I was going to say, like you mentioned that you typically see the same customer maybe 3 times. And as a business owner, I'm sure you've thought about, okay, is there a way? It sounds so cynical to say, like, can I get more from that person? I don't think there is a cynical version. I think there's a authentic version that's like, how can I add value to these same people more times so we can continue doing what we love more sustainably, and we can continue to empower them to do it.
Yep, exactly. And that's kind of true as we go back to the widgets.
Yeah.
It's true of any retail operation, which goes to some of our struggles, that a lot of our big elephant in the room is the online way of buying now. So we try to provide classes, new classes. We have a newsletter that goes out that gives relevant information. The marketing message just to let people know that, hey, we're here, ask us a question.
Yeah.
And we try to always do events that will appeal to people new that have been brewing for a while or not brewing for a while. The homebrew clubs are a great way to really get people engaged more often because they're always doing events. I know they're doing a trip this Saturday to Goldfinger. I know they've done a trip. They're going to Scratch in Southern Illinois later than May. So so there's things that the homebrew clubs will do to kind of help do it for, I don't want to say for us, but to help accentuate what we do. Yeah. Other than us just saying, hey, we're going to run a sale or, typical retail stuff. How do we bring people more in? That's always the goal. How do we provide repeat?
I'm just really, I'm grooving on what you're talking about in the business. And you're selling supplies, but what you're really providing is an experience.
Yes.
And so the more people can engage in that experience, you're creating longevity for that customer relationship.
We try to provide the reason to come back, not necessarily for the product, but to come back and talk to us.
It's really good.
One of the things that I've learned over the years, I mean, there's a lot of things I've learned, and I have 4 thoughts going on in my head at one time, is it's our job, and this is something I always try to teach our new people or people that are in sales, is it's not my job to tell you why you need it, but it's my job to explain the product so you can make the decision of what's best for what your scenario is. I was in the ski industry for a while, so that was really easy with skis. Where are you going to ski? What are you going to do? Yada, yada, yada. And we go down this list and, okay, well, this is the one, based on what you told me, this is what's great for you. Yeah. And we try to carry that on with everything we do when we're just helping people. Some people call that customer service. We just call it just doing the right thing instead of just buy this because we have 40 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I don't know if I gave a proper introduction to the two of you, but John's whole thing is like sales training and coaching. Like how long were you a sales? How long have you done sales?
I've been doing this now in one form or another, training, coaching for now it's 25 years.
Okay.
So it's just really funny.
Yeah.
It's like what you're talking about.
And I've had a professional Dale Carnegie training. I've worked for Corporate North Face for a while where I was a tech rep. So I've been in sales most of my adult life. Yeah. And there's many things that I've learned that
you were touching on a real a conversation really at the heart of sales.
Yeah.
And it is not the product.
Yeah.
It's their why, it's what it means to them. And as you and the folks in your shop get it, not what they're not what they're looking to do, not what they're looking to buy, but what got you interested in this?
Yeah.
Why and why now?
Yeah. And where's this flavor taking you and why did you want to drink? It's asking the question why a lot instead of one of the I'll digress just for a second. One of the pet peeves I hate is when I walk into a store and they say, hey, can I help you? No. That's the worst question you can ask when you walk into a store. You got to bring something else up. And so through our sales process, and we don't have really formal training because there's only like 2 or 3 of us at the shop. So everything is a formal, informal training as we go through with people. Yeah. Is, okay, when someone walks in the door, especially our store, they just don't happen in. Mm-hmm. We're not on a strip mall where people are just walking by. There's an intention to come to our store. Yeah. And so it's our job or our responsibility to ask them why they came in. Is there anything we can do to help facilitate or I always say we're just a tour guide in this process. You tell us what you want, and we will guide you through what we have because maybe our organization isn't great, or maybe you don't know something, but based on the conversation that we just had, hey, have you thought of this? Yeah. Or thought of this? So it's our job to kind of problem solve or make their process or their brewing experience or their fermentation experience better, easier, and we just happen to have the product that will make their lives easier or that process more fulfilling.
Yeah. So it's like what you said early on and on the conversation. Story is so central to why people do this, especially in the wine world side of things. Like there's legacy and there's intentionality, there's history, there's there is a narrative that you are a part of, and so you have the opportunity to either be a part of someone's origin story or a part of someone's turning point.
Right.
Right. That's cool.
And it really is, and we love that because it's one of our it's one of our happy spots, we'll say, because if we get to see that click, like we have a customer that makes grapes from us or makes wine. He doesn't make the grapes; he makes the wine from the grapes we bring in, and he enters in a amateur winemaking national winemaking competition every year, and he scores quite well. I think he won a silver medal or in this particular wine style, and he'll send us a bottle and send us a copy of the plaque that we get to put up, and he's like, it's because of your grapes, and because we sourced. I called almost every vineyard, not every vineyard, but a lot of vineyards in California looking for a wholesaler to get what we did, and I talked to quite a few people and said, okay, I pick you. And so far, the proof is in the pudding that we have people winning awards.
Yeah.
The product is great, and it's wonderful that way to hear the stories.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. You're talking about stories of the people that come in and to make wine. Stories big. You've talked about stories, and Jeremiah, you're a great storyteller.
Thanks.
Right?
Thank you. It's kind of my whole thing.
Yeah.
But somewhere along your journey, you had an inflection point in your story.
Yeah.
And you were one day you were doing skis, the next minute you're doing brewing supplies.
Yeah.
Tell me about, was there a moment when you said, this is what I'm supposed to do? Was there a moment? Was there a phase you went through? How did the light bulb come on for you?
So that's a great question. And I can answer this in two ways. One, go all the way back to high school.
Nice.
But the first one is, it was just because when I was a customer at Perfect originally, I saw it start to go downhill. And so we started to write a business plan to see if this is something we want to do. I was transitioning. I've been in outdoor retail for a very long time, which I love it. But I was ready for a new challenge.
Yeah.
And they just happened to be driving by when the owners of the building were sweeping it out. And my friend who just came back from Colorado to go to Siebel, which was one of the world's best brewing schools that was recently in Chicago, just moved to Montreal, unfortunately. And we just talked our way into a job and did it that way.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we started that way. That was there. So there kind of was a light bulb or a turning point, but it wasn't a really big, bright one. It was like, oh, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
But and where I'm going to relate this back to high school is when, you're a senior in high school, you're sitting in the library, you're taking that test of what you should do with the rest of your life. I answered it kind of weird because I said, okay, this is what I don't want to do. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And so that led me to the environmental science degree that I have because I got to do a lot of the things that I didn't want to do. And then that's kind of how serendipitously I end up with a lot of the things that happen to me is because I don't want to do this. So this happens to be where it is. And so I just make the choices. I really don't know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so
I actually think that's really strong though, because a lot of people think about exclusively what they do want to do.
Yeah.
And at least in my own experience, you find yourself doing a lot of things you don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have that in any
because you
profession,
didn't even think about it. Yeah. Like sometimes when I've, running a business, building a business, you kind of have control on where you're steering the ship, especially as early in it as I am. And so a lot of times I'll just open up my notes and I'm like, okay, what are all the things that I'm doing right now? What are the things I don't want to do?
Yeah.
And some of it's business logistics, but maybe it might reveal that I'm trying to move the business in a direction that fundamentally I thought was great, but I don't care about.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how that sometimes that's not the first thought.
Yeah, it is. And it is interesting how you steer a business and which way you want to go and what you want to deal with. There's many times like post-COVID, we can't do things the same way we did it. Let's focus on the things that we do really well. And let's lean into that. And let's just kind of move away from some of the slough. That was just kind of a nice thought. So we really dialed in what we were doing, and we're still kind of doing that. We're kind of hyper-focusing on what our unique products are that you can't buy. Because in our industry, a lot of our vendors that we buy from for some of our hardware ended up selling direct. So now we're competing with the same people we're buying from. which I don't blame them. There aren't that many of us. They gotta make some scratch too, right?
Yeah.
So we had to focus on the things that you can't get anywhere else, which is grain and pretty much yeast are the harder ones that you really have to find a homebrew shop for.
And your story.
And us. So that's
You know?
why we have to lean into just being genuinely nice people to other people.
Yeah.
And be more than just, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Kind of people.
Well, and I've had maybe 5 conversations with you.
Right.
But I got that sense from you from our first conversation.
It's kind of fun. And I love going to work every day, which is great. It's I don't wake up going, and I've had jobs like that. This is like, oh, I've got this, and this to do. And after doing it for 11 years, it still is exciting. And we know a lot of our customers by name. We will many times hang out with them outside of the shop for other social events and things like that. And it's really rewarding that aspect because it is kind of the fabric of a culture or a community.
Yeah.
Even though our community is it's not just Libertyville. We're everywhere. I mean, we're shipping, since we have a military base close to us, right? So we have a lot of sailors.
Yeah.
And then they'll get shipped off, and we're shipping things to USS Ronald Reagan occasionally. So it's because they still want to do it. So we're shipping to the military post office. So yeah,
That's
'cause
dope.
we have people that
We're winding down.
Yep. I can talk for days. So you have
John,
to reel me in.
You can ask one more question.
Only one.
But it's got to be one.
So
pick your poison.
So fantastic. If you could go back, and this is one of my favorite questions,
Okay.
if you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self,
Oof. Okay.
all right, and you get to give a little advice to your 20-year-old
Okay.
self. And by the way, we would all want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Holy cow, my life would be so much easier if I could sit down, right?
Right.
And just, hey, let me tell you a few things, right? But what would you say to your 20-year-old self that would help you get to where you are, and maybe you wouldn't change anything?
That's a great question because there's so many things I would tell my 20-year-old self. The hard part was would my 20-year-old self listen
Right, right.
because I knew everything then.
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. It's from a business perspective, save a little more, spend a little less. Personal perspective, travel a lot more, maybe spend more. The things you thought were important now may not be as important later, and the things you didn't think were important then are much more important now, such as family, friends, and really experiencing the slow things, the slow foods, the things that you take time to make. I've been lucky that if I look back from my 20s, I've had a pretty enriching experience. I've had an ecotourism company to where I've traveled, and I still travel with the university where I teach a trip. So there's a lot of really cool things I see, a lot of really cool things I do. So that's a tough question because there's so many facets of my life that I've gained experience from that I would tell myself in my 20s to do a little bit different. That could almost be a book.
I think you nailed it.
Okay.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
And that's really good advice. Jeremiah.
My last question, and it's pretty freaking close. What brings you joy as of late?
Oh, as of late, well, I have a 9 and 11-year-old, so they bring me joy most of the time. I mean, they're kids, so of course there's the Homer Simpson moment.
Yeah.
Of course, my family, my wife brings me joy. I love going to work every day because it's not really work. We're problem solvers, and we get to solve a different problem every day. We're not selling widgets or a sweatshirt to where it has to be hung on the hanger a certain way and look at it. And it's the same thing over and over again. Every day is a new adventure for me. What brings me joy is I still make mayonnaise from scratch. I still make a lot of my own food from scratch.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, but that brings me joy because I know more about what goes into things. I've learned as before to take advantage of the small things, those quiet moments that you think nobody's watching or you think aren't important, that you just have to sometimes go, this is pretty cool. and just taking those moments, because I've experienced quite a bit over the years. It's the small little things that you just got to pay attention to. So.
Yeah. Andy, thank you so much for your time. Seriously.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to tell this little bit of my story. So.
Yeah. This is
a
fun.
great guest.
Well,
How can people get involved, promote some things?
Yay. Okay. So we're located in Libertyville, 619 East Park Avenue. We're a mile east of Milwaukee Avenue, if you want to pop on in. We do have a website, perfectbrewsupply.com, or our e-com, which has a lot too, Perfect Brew Supply, brewingsupply.store.
Nice. We'll link all of that.
Yeah, cool.
For sure.
Yep. Come out to some of the events. Look for us. I think the big one, sorry, I got to look at my dates because we just got them. Big Brew would be really fun if you want to come out, because you really want to see what we do.
Yeah.
That's a fun one because it's all day. There's no cost. You don't have to show up all day, but there will be good food, some good home brews. You can take home some compost and maybe take advantage of our sale. And then the other one would be that Mundelein Craft Beer Festival, June 6th, that we're a part of. If you like the beer festival scene, because you get a really good representation of what homebrewers are bringing out in a more professional setting.
Yeah.
And hear all their stories. That one's fun. And then the June 20th for the Sips for Scholarships. That's a great fundraising event. And then our newsletter is probably our best thing to really get to know us. Send us an email. Our social pages are somewhat active.
Yeah.
Stop in. Give us a call.
Love that.
We have beer on tap that we are allowed to pour 1-ounce samples.
That's dope.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you again. Seriously.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
it was
sir.
fun. Yeah.